To say that he doesn't have the smarts to be able to do it, he's just a guy who doesn't know how to speak in public. He can't take care of himself. He's always on the defensive. He can't handle those kinds of things with his social skills.
If Tyson had sat there and never said a word, looked remorseful, taken a few notes, maybe he would have scraped out of it.
At 10:25, we were notified that they had reached a verdict, and within the last 2 minutes, they have announced their verdict. Guilty on all 3 counts.
Based on facts, it was maybe the most poorly defended case I had ever seen. He had a tax attorney represent him in a rape case.
Vince Fuller was picked to represent Mike Tyson at trial because he had done a great job for Don King. But this case just wasn't suited for his personality, unfortunately. But I have to tell you, Moses, Jesus, Mohammed, Clarence Darrow, and Thurgood Marshall together could not have won this case because there were 2 prosecutors in the case. One of them was wearing a robe.
I know there were a lot of people that were very anti-Tyson and want to see him basically sent to the gallows. But I think a lot of people thought he got railroaded.
On March 26, 1992, Judge Patricia Gifford sentenced Tyson to serve 6 years at the Indiana Youth Center.
He wrote me a letter, inexplicably. And one of the paragraphs of this letter said, "Mr. Gray, I will never admit to raping this woman, even if it lessens my time because I just didn't do it and I'm not going to say I did. However, there have been 5 to 7 other things throughout the course of my life that I have done which are far worse than that of which I've been accused. So I feel I'm in the right place."
After serving just over 3 years, Mike Tyson was released from prison on March 25, 1995. Outwardly, at least, he appeared to be a changed man.
We have an image of Mike Tyson, and he's reinvented himself. He came out of prison with a male tattoo and spouting, Eastern mysticism, and suddenly he's a quasi-educated Mike Tyson.
He was in with the Muslim philosophy, and the Muslims in this flying wedge were the ones escorting him and taking him out of prison. And there was a power struggle there about where Don wanted Mike to go, as opposed to where the Muslims were going to take him. And a very determined Don King said, "This boy ain't going to Mecca. This boy's going to Cleveland, where Don lives."
Don King said, "Give him anything he wants, just keep him fighting. 5 wristwatches, give it to him. What do you want? 2 Rolls Royces? Buy it for him." He had a surfeit of wealth, and nothing meant anything to him. And he had a great deal of self-loathing.
With homes in 4 states, a fleet of pricey cars, and a menagerie of rare wild animals, Tyson lived extravagantly inside his public bubble.
He had this fierce loyalty to King that was beyond just the contractual. He was a con and Don was a con, that they had both done hard time in prison, that Don had even taken it a step further and killed men, I think Mike liked that.
Now this was all about making money quickly, and Don King, who was a genius at that, engineered this string of comeback fights, and it was the most cynical campaign I think I've ever seen, even for boxing.
Under King's Midas touch, Tyson earned huge paydays as he won 3 straight fights, the last against WBC champion Frank Bruno in March of 1996. Then, 2 months after knocking out Bruce Seldon that September for the WBA title, Tyson faced the #1 contender, Evander Holyfield.
I realized that Mike was going to hit me, but I knew I could take his punches. The only thing that Mike hadn't shown since he came back, he hadn't been hit.
He backed Tyson up. He could push him around. He could take his shots. He was the only man in the ring that night, and he beat him senseless.
During their rematch in June of 1997, Tyson sought redemption. Instead, he found shame and disgrace.
For the first 2 rounds, he'd gotten the bejabbers beaten out of him.
He came out, he wasn't aggressive at all, and I was able to get to him.
He just figured, I can't win. There is no way I can win. Let me out of this.
I saw Holyfield jump up and go like that and jump around and said, he bit me, he bit me.
My first thought was that, I need to bite him back because I knew what type of person he was.
And then they got him back to the center of the ring and told him, let's get to it. And they got to it again. Then he bit him again. I figured that was it.
When he could stare at guys, boom, gone. But when he hit them and they didn't fall, when he stared at them and they stared back, and he couldn't overpower a person in those ways, he came up empty. He has to go and rely on character. He didn't have any.
11 days later, the Nevada Athletic Commission unanimously voted to revoke Tyson's boxing license and fine him $3 million. With his earning power seriously diminished, the ex-champ, who had married Monica Turner in April, demanded from King an accounting of his finances.
As much money as those guys have made with him, they screwed him, He got so many Judases around him, it's like he don't know who to believe, man,
I'm just trying to get out this debt, man. You know what I mean? The Don King got me involved with, but I'm just trying to get out this debt, man.
Just so many things were going on, with Mike's money, but without Mike's knowledge.
He realizes King stole from him, but it was a mistake Mike Tyson made twice. He went with